This show is brought to you by the Chiropractic Broadcast Network. Check us out on the web at chiropracticbroadcastnetwork.com.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tuning Into Health. It is Monday, December 26th. And yeah, the day after Christmas. I hope you had a joyous one. It's kind of fun. Oh, but yeah, it's a little uncomfortable with the jeans right now. Let's just say that. That's all right. We got to indulge a little bit. We got to live. Hey, we got new popular painkiller has abuse experts worried. You know, they're always going for progress, those pharmaceutical companies. Hospitals face penalties for patient readmissions. I wonder if they get refunds. Corn Refiners Association sued for falsely claiming that high fructose corn syrup is the same as sugar. Believe it or not, religious believers don't trust atheists, a new study says. Well, I don't know why. Renewed warning on baby acetaminophen. Yeah, watch out, parents. But I thought it was safe. How about this? A 40-year war on cancer. What's the progress? Where are we? Doctors split on vaccine strategy to shield babies. Gosh, a lot of stuff going on in the news today. And I've been doing show prep on the fly since I got in the office. It's been a little broken up. But otherwise, we'll be back right after this. Welcome again, everybody. This is Tuning Into Health with Dr. Chad. It's the Monday, December 26th edition of Tuning Into Health, and we got a lot of great news and views that you can use, I tell you what. Day right after Christmas, I got what I wanted. I got what I wanted for Christmas. Did you? The only thing I wanted for Christmas, and I've asked for it for the past 3 years, is I've asked for an iTunes gift card. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. I love their audiobooks. I am an auditory person, if you couldn't tell. And I tell you what, that's what I wanted more than anything. I even stopped asking for socks and underwear because I had that habit for about 5 or 6 years. When I just say, people ask me what I wanted for Christmas, and I just say, it's just socks and underwear. Well, gosh. Finally, they started getting me socks and underwear, so then I stopped asking for that, right? So, anyway, one year they thought it'd be pretty funny. So then I just started saying iTunes gift card, and I still got socks and underwear, and I want an iTunes gift card. Well, finally, 3-4 years later, it happens. And then I got a bottle of Templeton Rye, too, which was a nice thing. So, let the holiday spirit be among you, right? We got a lot of interesting news, and it was a little hard parsing out. Because I don't know if the news gathering agencies kind of, I don't know if they're just dumping the end of your stories or if they're getting a little lazy or what it is, but yeah, it was a little tough to sort it all out. But hey, I go through all the news every week, thousands of news stories, so you don't really have to. And so I can show you the most absurd. Hey, by the way, next show on Thursday, we're going to be going over 2011's goofiest stories, health news stories, the strangest stuff. So just to let you know, that's what's going to be happening. And if there's any new stuff, I can pop that out too. So anyway, but yeah, that's what we're going to concentrate mostly on that. So, but we got a lot of stuff. Doctors split on vaccine strategy to shield babies. Sorry, I got to start on the vaccine news, huh? This comes from Reuters Health. A large group of U.S. doctors on Monday gave the green light for pediatricians to offer vaccines to close family members of babies who are too young to get the shots themselves. Excuse me. The strategy known as cocooning is meant to block diseases from reaching the infant in the first place and is backed by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. But earlier this month, Canadian government researchers suggested that at least for whooping cough, a major infectious disease worldwide, cocooning comes with a hefty price tag. They estimated to prevent one infant death in the disease of Quebec or British Columbia, at least 1 million parents would have been vaccinated at the cost of some $20 Canadian spent per shot. Wow. The program appears to be inefficient, says this doctor. In fact, the criteria for this successful are almost impossible, she told Reuters Health. We're not saying that babies are not important. Of course they are, but we have to be wise about how we use our finite resources. A new American Academy of Pediatrics report on cocooning released that the Journal of Pediatrics is not directly recommending that pediatricians start offering parents shots to practice that has been controversial. And you know what? The OBGYN is, they're offering parents shots, which is interesting. And if a mother is shot with pertussis or anything, she's not going to have natural immunity. It's not going to translate into natural immunity to protect her child in the first place. Did you know that? If a woman is vaccinated, she can't pass on natural immunity to her baby through breastfeeding. And that's a grave concern. And now we have more infant deaths since vaccination than we ever have had before, because usually it's the mother can protect the child. Not anymore. 40-year war on cancer. This is December 23rd, 1971. President Nixon signed the National Cancer Act in 1971 into law. Wow, they've done a great job. Providing a law that everybody has to have cancer, huh? The legislation has tremendous bipartisan support and came with a time of great optimism. Many thought its passage would lead to a cure for cancer within a few years, but otherwise it's just produced a lot of jobs. Hey, that's what Obama can do. He can declare war on a disease and create a whole industry out of it. Wow, and employ millions of people. The legislation never mentioned the word war, but some considered it the country's declaration of war on cancer. The law and the movement supporting it brought cancer out of the shadows and put a focus on it. 40 years later, the war is still being waged, and much of the optimism has faded. This year, more than 500,000 Americans will die of cancer. Obviously, this is a war not won, and it's appropriate to ask, what have we gotten from this 40-year war? This comes from CNN, folks. I think it's a legitimate question. Today, we know that cancer is far more complicated than imagined in 1971. Science has provided an amazing understanding of the disease on the cellular and molecular level. This understanding is causing medical science to change the definition of cancer from that used since the mid-1840s with a light microscope to the 21st definition based on genetics and genomics. The National Cancer Act of 1971 gave added resources to federally sponsored research, especially those supported by the National Cancer Institute and the National Institute of Health. The bill expanded the NCI Clinical Trials Network, created NCI-designated cancer centers, and encouraged cancer specialists to practice in their community. Most important, the act intended to stimulate basic laboratory research and clinical study and link the two in what is termed as translational research. 40 years later, the clinical trials have been impressive treatment outcomes have have shown impressive treatment outcomes, especially in the early stages of the disease. Unfortunately, the cancers can be cured after spreading from their initial site of origin. So I will have that listed on Facebook.com if you are looking for that article. It goes a little bit more in depth into that after that. But Facebook.com/Rohlfsen, you can request a subscription, or you can request a friend request, and I'll be right there. And if you're not a jerk, I'll add you as a friend. And just be warned, though, if you're going to come onto my page, the only thing I do on my Facebook page is I express my opinion. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm interested in other people's opinion. It's interesting to read the comments back and forth and all that type of stuff, but now it's become a debate frenzy, and I'll just state my opinion. I don't care if you agree with it or not. That's okay. Renewed warning on baby acetaminophen. What's going on here? The FDA is renewing a warning about potential of dosing errors with liquid acetaminophen products for infants, which may have been compounded by the recent introduction of the new 160 milligram, 5 milligram strength. Ironically, the new strength and resulting potential for trouble stems from an effort by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration outside safety experts to reduce exactly this sort of dosing confusion. So, following recommendations from the 2009 meeting, the two FDA advisory committees, major manufacturers previously made liquid acetaminophen in different strengths, and they made it bubblegum tasting so the kids would enjoy it and overdose on it. Okay. I don't know if this is news to you. Religious believers don't trust atheists. A new study says, if an atheist ran for president, a recent poll suggests he or she wouldn't win many votes. That might be the least partly because the main reason for religious people, they dislike atheists. And they think non-believers can't be trusted, according to a new study. Well, if you're looking for it, who are they held accountable to? They're not held accountable to anybody. And it's not necessarily that I dislike atheists, because I like some atheists that are friends of mine, and it's no big deal. It's just that when it comes to deep issues on life and whatnot, I don't think I'd be listening to a person that's not spiritually based. So, in 6 separate studies, the researchers asked 770 people, American adults and Canadian college students, a number of questions. In one study, when presented a description of an untrustworthy person, the participants said that that description represented atheists and rapists to a similar degree and wasn't representative of gays, feminists, Christians, Jews, or Muslims. It's I'll have that posted on Facebook as well. Interesting. Corn Refiners Association sued for falsely claiming that high fructose corn syrup is the same as sugar. It's just corn sugar. And you've seen the advertisements about it, and they just get me all so ticked off. Yeah. Natural sugar requires the presence of mercury to refine it. Yeah. Did you know that? High fructose corn syrup has mercury in it, because that's what it requires to refine it. But it's just corn sugar. Natural corn sugar. Those crafty television commercials that claim high fructose corn syrup is basically the same thing as conventional sugar have gotten the Corn Refiners Association, a group responsible for creating them, in a heap of trouble. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution reports that the sugar industry has now sued CRA, which is the Corn Refiners Association. Wow, I didn't even know there was such an association. Making these and other unproven claims about high fructose corn syrup that are inaccurate and misleading to customers. You've probably seen at one point or another the concerned mother portraying it as an idiot for questioning high fructose corn syrup content in a mysterious purple drink being fed to her child at a birthday party. And the boyfriend is reprimanded in the park by his girlfriend for refusing to take a bite out of her high fructose corn syrup laden popsicle. Yeah. So, yep. Well, I hope they get their butts handed to them. I almost said something else, but that's all right. I hope they get their butts handed to them. And hey, I'm an Iowa boy, and I love what corn has been able to do for this country. But there's sometimes when you go too far. And high fructose corn syrup in every freaking thing. Now we look for labels that say no high fructose corn syrup, and that's for our bread, that's for the ketchup that we use, and all that type of stuff. No high fructose corn syrup is better. Hospitals face penalties for patient readmission. So this is Kaiser Health News. I wonder if the insurance companies receive a refund. I don't know. I think I went over this last week, but it was pretty intriguing. One reason for the frequent returns, he says, is he can't afford the medications his doctor prescribes to keep his problems in check, so I have to do without. Yeah. Yep. And the medications aren't making you healthier, buddy. That's the problem. It's a failed system. It's not a healthcare system. It's a sick disease care system. And the sick disease care system is to manage your disease. It's not to cure you. It's not to make your life better. It's to sustain where you're at chemically, which that brings up a whole bunch of different problems. Speaking of which, new powerful painkiller has abuse experts worried. Drug companies are working to develop a pure, more powerful version of the nation's second most abused medication, which is addiction experts worried that it could spur a new wave of abuse. These pills contain highly addictive painkiller hydrocodone, packing up to 10 times the amount of drug as existing medications such as Vicodin. 4 companies have begun patent testing. One of them, Zogenix of San Diego, plans to apply early next year to begin marketing its products, Zohydro. Gosh. If approved, it could mark the first time patients could legally buy pure hydrocodone. That's a freaking great idea, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't that just a great idea? Hey, we'll be back right after this.
When you're looking for a new home, why not seek the counsel of friends who happen to know the housing market better than all the rest? Mike and Holly Taylor with Iowa Realty can answer all questions related to securing a mortgage and provide valuable information that is important to your family. Mike and Holly will provide you with a detailed summary of area schools, nearby amenities, and all the testimonials from the people that they have served. Call Mike or Holly at 453-6011. That's 453-6011 to start looking for your new home today.
Do you have itchy, dry skin? Struggling with acne, eczema, asthma, or other health problems? Or maybe you're just looking for a safer, natural alternative to cleaning and skincare products. Maybe it's finally time for you to make the switch. What do I mean? A vast majority of skincare and cleaning products today contain toxic synthetic ingredients that are having a devastating effect on our health and our skin. But there is a better way. At Genuinely Pure, it's our mission to provide 100% natural and safe products that you'll absolutely love, and provide them at affordable prices. We offer a full line of products for the body, face, home, and baby, all full of pure plant-based organic ingredients to nourish, heal, and rejuvenate your skin. So now are you ready to make the switch? Come check us out on the web at genuinelypure.com. Find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. Place an online order with the promo code Dr. Chad to save 10% off your purchase. Make the switch to Genuinely Pure today.
And you are tuning into Health with Dr. Chad.
Post-Christmas. Happy post-Christmas, everybody. We were pretty lazy yesterday. That's a good thing. You gotta be lazy sometimes. But when you're lazy, that can kind of bring down the energy level, don't you think? I think so. And that's not always necessarily a good thing when you bring down your energy level. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of Greg Braden. Greg Braden, he is he's an author, written a ton of books, and he's talking about vibration here in this little video. There was a study done in Japan not long ago that looked upon the water crystals and your thought processes towards the water crystals. I know. Yeah. What they were able to do scientifically is they would surround the water with intention. Now, the intention of love or the intention of hate. And you got totally different outcomes. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the water molecule, it vibrates. It's vibrating. If you look at it on an atomic scale, if you look at it on a quantum scale, it's vibrating. They've got all these vibrating masses. Now, when you say vibration to me, I think harmony. And so that's what perfect health is. That's what radiant of health is to me, is when things are vibrating within harmony of each other. And there's whole different types of tissue densities within the body and all this, but 70% of our whole makeup is water. And so what they were able to scientifically prove is when you put intention onto a water molecule and then you freeze it, you start seeing beautiful patterns. And then conversely, when you put negative energy, like you put the picture of Hitler by water, or you intend the water hate or ill will, when you freeze it and put it under a microscope, those patterns totally disappear and it's ugly, destructive. So what he's talking about here is putting a water droplet through the different sound frequencies. And the higher the frequency, the more intricate, the more complex the vibration, the water molecule gets. You can actually see the patterns in the water molecule. This is very, very cool. So, and this has implications in the spinal tuning thing, because you'll see these patterns just kind of change, and that's what I see with my spinal tuning practice members. Is they'll be vibrating at one area and then you just suddenly get a shift that you can see physically exuded in the body when we're doing spinal tuning. So this video just got me kind of excited because you're seeing the same types of shifts happening with people. And some people like to, or they don't mind doing the shift, and other people are not comfortable with change. And so what they'll do is they'll remain at the same level of vibration. Now, they can't be forced. What he's doing, he's forcing this water molecule. He's manipulating it. With a person, it's different because you're working with a consciousness. You have to allow the space for them to do it. And some people just don't want to do it because they feel comfortable at where they're vibrating at a different level. And if you want to increase that or enhance that, you can't do it without consent. Okay? So I don't know if I made that clear. If you have any questions, you can get a hold of me at tuninginhealth.com and ask a question there if you want. But this is Greg Braden.
Here today, this is a water droplet that you're going to see. And in this water droplet, a frequency is being pumped into this water droplet. As the frequency is mirrored in the droplet, you'll actually see the geometric patterns in that droplet. Now, what's happening, and the reason that this is so significant, is because we're going to do a frequency sweep. We're going to go from low frequencies to higher frequencies. And what you'll find is this. You'll see that in the lower frequencies, the patterns are less complex. And in the higher frequency, the patterns are more complex. So we're going through a sweep from lower to higher frequency. I'm sharing this with you now because Earth is essentially going through a frequency sweep. Our fundamental pulse, our base pulse that has hovered around 7.8 cycles per second, now is changing. And again, there's a lot of controversy about what the change is, and we're witnessing the change. As we go through our planetary shift of this pulse, patterns of energy must change to respond to that, just as patterns of energy in this water are changing to respond to this pulse. And we'll begin with simply the concentric patterns in the water. As the frequency begins, every once in a while we'll reach a key threshold resonance, such as that moment right there. And in that key threshold resonance, the entire pattern morphed into a more complex expression of itself, simply because the frequency changed. Now watch what happens. The frequency is still increasing. And watch what happens. As we reach another key threshold resonance, this entire pattern will morph into a beautifully and more complex pattern of itself, again and again. And look at this pattern right here. Look what you're seeing right here. Look at the beautiful geometry. Here is a perfect cube. There's a perfect tetrahedron, a star tetrahedron. In 2 dimensions, we've got the octahedron. Very powerful images of sacred geometry held in place simply because we've achieved the vibratory pattern that allows that in this water droplet. And as the vibration increases, these patterns will become more and more complex. You can see the pulse from where you are. Can you see the pulse actually in the water? As we go into the last set of the frequencies, what you'll see is that the entire, and you'll watch along the outer perimeter, the entire pattern reaches its greatest level of complexity, and then it goes back, as the frequencies drop, it goes back to what it was, the concentric circles, as it was originally. It almost looks alive. You know, you've been offered many times the concept that thought is vibration. Have you ever considered that emotion is vibration? Feeling is vibration. We are always feeling something. We are always emoting something. We may not always be aware of what that is. We carry those patterns with us. As we hold a feeling and an emotion, what we're doing is we are holding a vibratory pattern in the liquid crystal of our bodies.
What did you think about that? Kind of an interesting concept. Do you believe it? Do you believe it? And by the way, that's a test. If you don't believe it, don't worry about it. If you believe it, then do it. Change your vibrations by changing your emotions, by changing your thought. Or change your emotions by changing your thought. You ever thought about that? Also, I've shared with practice members that they have to prepare themselves when they come in here to get adjusted. You can't just, and you know what? Some people do it. They just, okay, whatever, got to get adjusted. Or some of them will have to get ready and put their mind at peace before they get an adjustment. And I find that when I can do that, put my mind at peace, my adjustments hold much better. I'm in a better frame of mind. What am I reproducing? What am I trying to achieve when I get an adjustment? Is it just a mindless act, or is there intention behind it while receiving an adjustment, and also while giving adjustments? Giving an adjustment, there has to be intention behind it. So, by the way, I tell you what, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a big Apple fan. Yep, you can see it right there, right there, right there. That little apple right there. Yeah. Okay. And I just started on Steve Jobs' autobiography this weekend. And so far, I like it. And the reviews on it are pretty amazing. But Steve Jobs had 7 rules of success. So this little article, and I posted it a while back. I just haven't been able to get to it as fast as I wanted to. Steve Jobs' impact on your life cannot be overestimated. His innovations have likely touched nearly every aspect: computers, movies, music, mobile. And as a communication coach, I learned from Jobs that presentation can indeed inspire. For entrepreneurs, Jobs' greatest legacy was a set of principles that he drove his success. Over the years, I've become a student of sorts of Jobs, his career and his life. Here's my take on the rules and the values underpinning his success. Any of us can adopt them and to unleash our inner Steve Jobs. Not just our inner selves, our higher selves, huh? So do what you love, and I am a big proponent of that. If you don't love it, don't do it. Just don't do it. So Jobs once said, people with passion can change the world for the better. Asked about the advice he would offer would-be entrepreneurs, he says, I'd get a job as a busboy or something until I figured out what I was really passionate about. And that's how much it meant to him. Passion is everything. That's what I did. I went to college and left college and went to college and left college because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and it was pointless to go to college until I knew what I wanted to do. But once I knew what I wanted to do, college was a breeze. College was a breeze. It just went by so damn quick. Put a dent in the universe. Jobs believed that the power of vision. He also asked then Pepsi president John Scully, do you want to spend your life selling sugar water or do you want to change the world? Don't lose sight of the big vision. Make connections. Job once said creativity is connecting things. He meant that people with a broad sense of life experience can often see things that others miss. I believe that wholly. You can't look at a circumstance from one dimension. You have to look at it from several dimensions. You look at it as a sphere, a little circle or a little sphere in the middle of the room, and basically the way you're looking at it might not be the same way somebody else is looking at it. And so if you have the ability to look at a problem or a situation or a circumstance from many different dimensions, you have an edge, I believe. Say no to 1,000 things. That's what I've got to work on. Jobs is proud of what Apple chose not to do as he was of what Apple did. He returned to Apple in 1997. He took the company with 350 products and reduced them to 10 products in a 2-year period. Why? So he could put an A-team on each project. So what you're saying is no to. What you're saying is no to. What? I didn't understand that. Create insanely different experiences. Job also sought innovation and customer service experience, and then he came up with a concept of Apple stores. And he said that he would be different because instead of just moving boxes, and the stores would enrich lives. Everything about the experience would have you, when you walk in an Apple store, is intended to enrich your life and create an emotional connection between you and the Apple brand. Master the message. You can have a greatest idea in the world, but if you can't communicate your ideas, it doesn't matter. Jobs is the world's greatest corporate storyteller. Instead of simply delivering a presentation like most people do, he informed, he educated, he inspired, he entertained, all in one presentation. That's big. Storytelling, wrapping up in the story. We're a creature of understanding stories. Sell dreams, not products. Sell possibilities, not products. I think that's great. I think that is great about what Steve Jobs is able to be. You know, his legacy. His legacy will live on, definitely. Anyway, we'll be back right after this.
We love our chiropractor, and I've got 3 great reasons why. First, there are no appointments, which is great for my busy life. Second, we don't waste a lot of time sitting in a waiting room. Dr. Chad actually respects our time and schedule. Third, we get unlimited care at a low fixed monthly fee. That's right. My family's care is based on our needs, not the insurance company's ability to pay. You can love your chiropractor too, and your first adjustment at the Spinal Tuning Center is free. The Spinal Tuning Center is conveniently located on Merle Hay Road, right off Interstate 80. Find out more at spinaltuning.com or call 727-4000.
Attention small business owners. Are your marketing materials looking stale? Does the expense of hiring an advertising company just make you cringe? Let Cinnamon Rost with 1809 Design discover your company's unique personality and help you find a design that fits your business and attracts your customers. Working one-on-one with a professional designer means you'll receive a quality finished product quicker and for a lower price. From logos to business cards and flyers to banners, 1809 Design looks forward to helping you with your next marketing endeavor. Visit 1809design.com or call 515-989-1809 today.
How do you think silent monks sing? Here, take a look at this. I like that. That just made me chuckle this morning when I saw that, so I thought I'd share it with you. Hey, remember I was talking about cherries a few weeks ago? Well, here's 7 ways to end joint pain other than getting adjusted regularly. But arthritis and gout using cherries. So if you're having gout or arthritis, this is one of the things that can help you out. So comes from naturalnews.com. Gout and arthritis have 2 things in common. Each condition makes the body hurt, and they respond to powerful nutrients found in cherries that eliminate the pain. Cherries contain high levels of antioxidants and anthocyanins and nutrients known to relieve pain, inflammation, and stiffness. Cherries belong to an esteemed group of superfruits, including blueberries, acai, pomegranate, yum berries, I've never heard of those, cranberries, and goji berries, all providing exceptionally high amounts of these pain-killing compounds. Cherries are rich in polynutrients and anthocyanins, which give the fruit its rich reddish purple color and deep color. The higher level the oxidants, the more deep color it is. So you can do them raw or cooked or canned or juiced or powder or concentrate, and even with the supplements. So if you've got arthritis and you're looking for a natural means, and to tell you what, you can't hurt yourself. Oh, by the way, that would be a great alternative if you are a person that's taking a lot of naproxen or Tylenol or Acetaminophen or Advil or what is that other one? The real bad one. I can't think of it, but it's bad. Oh well, but I can understand if you're having problems with the sleeping or just living day-to-day life. If you're using Tylenol, Acetaminophen, Advil, anything like that, one of the side effects to using that type of stuff is that it shuts down cartilage production. Yep, it shuts down cartilage production. I said it twice, which means that the number one treatment for arthritis pain shuts down the ability for you to make cartilage, so the problem gets worse over time. Did you know that? Or accelerates the problem over time. Did you know that? How many people do you know that don't know that? How many? So I'd suggest breaking out the cherries. Cherry juice, a shot of cherry juice or whatever every day or whatever. Tell you what, it's a hell of a lot more safe than Tylenol. Tylenol is a leading cause of cancer, liver failure, and bladder cancer. Why do heart attacks peak on Christmas? Heart-related deaths jumped by 5% during the holidays, with fatal heart attacks peaking on Christmas, and U.S. physicians say he thinks he knows why. Dr. Stephen Polivoy, medical director at the emergency department at the University of California, San Francisco, said people tend to delay medical care around the holidays. They have more symptoms of cardiovascular disease, such as abdominal or chest discomfort, which they interpret as indigestion or overeating, but in fact, it could be a cardiac ischemia. Heavy sensation of pressure on the chest, Pavlov said in the statement. Cardiac ischemia, which could lead to a heart attack, occurs when blood flow and oxygen to the heart are dramatically reduced by narrowing the coronary arteries. Yep. U.S. recession. 9 million lost health care. Some 9.3 million adults have lost their health care coverage due to lost jobs during the recession of 2007-2009. Researchers estimate. Study authors of Cornell University say the researchers also estimate that 4.2 million children aged 18 under gained health care coverage during the recession under government health care programs. The findings published online by the National Bureau of Economic Research include: men were more likely than women to lose their insurance coverage, especially for white older men and well-educated. The study has estimated that 7.1 million men and 2.2 million women lost their health care insurance. Even for men who didn't lose their jobs, the increase in unemployment rate was also associated with decreased probability of health care insurance coverage because employers dropped coverage, cutting workers' hours, and they had no longer qualified for health insurance or increased employee premiums contributions. It's because the employers don't know what to expect out of this administration. The fastest and easiest thing to cut is employees when you're looking at cutting costs and making sure that the future is stable. But I tell you what, this recession is real because business doesn't know what direction we're going. If they invest in a lot of employees and they get hit with taxes, guess what? Their expenses don't go down. Their lifestyles don't go down. And then what ends up happening is they end up passing the cost onto the consumers, and the consumers end up paying for more for stuff, and then you have inflation. It's a nasty mess. How about this? How bacteria fight fluoride in toothpaste and in nature. Yale researchers have uncovered molecular tricks used by bacteria to fight the effects of fluoride, which is commonly used in toothpaste and mouthwash to combat tooth decay, which doesn't work. In the December 22 online issue of the Journal of Science Express, the researchers report that the sections of RNA messages called riboswitches, which control the expression of genes, detect the buildup of fluoride and activate the defenses of bacteria, including those that contribute to tooth decay. These riboswitches are detectors made specifically to see fluoride. Interesting. We don't use fluoride in our toothpaste. We don't. Sorry. Yeah, I know. It's weird. Guess what? My kids, they don't have any cavities. I just had a checkup 2 weeks ago. No cavities. And what'd they bring them home with? They brought them home with little tubes of Crest that had fluoride in it, and then I ended up throwing it away. You know this, that toddlers hear their own words differently, says a study. Ever wonder why toddlers just can't seem to get the pronunciation of some words just right? Science may now have an answer. People are subconsciously monitor their voices to ensure the sound that they are producing is one of that is intended. If it's different, we're able to change that tone, but the new research found that toddlers do not monitor their voices in the same way. Surprisingly, 2-year-olds do not monitor their auditory feedback like adults do, suggesting that they are using different strategy to control speech production, says the lead author. So I wonder if you put a pair of these on them, what would happen? I should put that on my toddler and see if that increases his ability to speak right. To speak right. I wonder. Caffeine mist is a club drug, says Senator Schumer. Arrow shots give 100 micrograms of caffeine in a mist, and some officials are calling it dangerous. Caffeine mist is marketed as breathable energy and may become a health hazard for teens and young people, according to doctors, said Senator Charles Schumer, Democrat, New York, on Thursday, said, asking the Food and Drug Administration to review the product's safety. AeroShot is pure energy made by Breathable Foods, Cambridge, Mass. Comes in a lipstick-sized tube. Tube is designed to spray mist of caffeine and B vitamins that dissolve in the mouth, according to the company. Each tube contains 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is about the amount contained in a large cup of coffee. Each tube contains 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is about the amount contained in a large cup of coffee. The product will be sold over the counter and is set to hit stores and bookshelves. Now, it's $2.99 per tube. Does that mean that's less than a cup of Starbucks? So you spray the whole frickin' tube of 100 milligrams at one time? And if that's just a cup of coffee, if you just do one sprit, what is that? But I wonder with the absorption rate in the lungs. I don't know. In a statement, Schumer called this product a club drug that's designed to give users the ability to drink until they drop. Interesting. Children who have bad relationships with their mothers more likely to be obese. Bad relationships with mother can do more than leave emotional scars. It can also increase your waistline. A new study in January, issue of Pediatrics, found that children who do not have close emotional relationships with their bonds with their mothers during childhood were significantly more likely to be obese as teenagers. A study conducted in the Ohio State University examined the mother-child relationships of 977 kids born in 1991. Okay. What was I saying? 9 reasons why you can't focus. 9 reasons why you can't focus. And then right after that, I have natural news stories looking at. So, what was I just saying? Today Health in Today Health Today, MSNBC, blah, blah, blah. Says, what was I just saying? 9 reasons you can't focus. Number 1, your numbers are low. Fuzzy-mindedness could signal vitamin or hormone deficiency, especially if you're also feeling unusually tired. For example, hypothyroidism. So, and then it gives suggestions too. Schedule an appointment with your physician, paid for by the AMA. Your hormones. Wait a second. This needs a little bit more digging. Talks about vitamin B12 deficiency and related anemia can have similar symptoms. Most people get plenty of vitamin B12 in their diet, but the underlying conditions such as Crohn's or celiac disease can prevent your body from absorbing it. Also, did you know that the purple pill and antacid, not even just the purple pill, but all those different types of antacids, the proton pump inhibitors, will rob your body's ability to absorb vitamin B12. So if you're on an acid pump inhibitor and you're feeling drained and tired all the time, guess what? Your body doesn't have the ability to absorb B12, which is cobalamin. I've mentioned that before. Your hormones have gone haywire. I wonder why that is. You're nearing the end of the baby-making years, and your ability to think clearly may signal the start of premenopause. And then run up to menopause when menstrual cycles become irregular and estrogen drops. So, and they suggest going to the doctor. Give me a frickin'... You've changed your meds. Antidepressants can affect mood and concentration when you go off of them. Antihistamines, because you didn't know the antidepressants were addictive. Antihistamines, sedatives, and anti-anxiety medications can cause lingering drowsiness. Antidepressants, beta blockers, and other medications can cloud your mind. You've quit smoking, which is great. Your diet has deteriorated. You're not eating the right types of things. You think busy means fit. What? You may be incredibly busy, but you're stuck at the desk or behind the wheel of a car the most of the day, and you won't be engaged in physical activity with your mind needs. To stay sharp, you need to keep moving. Among others, exercise increases production of some substance called brain-derived neuropathic factor that helps the brain rewire itself and slows formation of plaques that accompany Alzheimer's disease. Also, all Alzheimer's patients have an accumulation of aluminum within a certain nucleus of the brain. How did they get that aluminum? Vaccination. I said it. You have anxiety overload, and your plate overfloweth. It's most of it's like, go to your medical doctor, blah, blah, blah. I got vaccine news here I didn't even go through. Sorry about that, folks. This is scary. Genetically modified mosquitoes to be released in the U.S. for the first time. Why? So it turns out that genetically modified mosquitoes could be released in the United States as early as January 2007, a private firm to initiate the release of genetically modified mosquitoes. Okay, this is like just playing into the whole 2012 scenario, right? Why do these people think that they are smarter than God's design? I tell you what. We weren't prepared for the flu pandemic. Here's a CNN opinion piece. Americans just starting down the flu season. Hong Kong grabs the headlines this week after news confirming a chicken was infected with the H5N1 virus and suspected of harboring a dangerous disease were slaughtered. Class action suit on the cancer vaccine Gardasil. So there's a woman in Melbourne, Australia, suing the Gardasil makers. But besides that, Gardasil is recommended for all U.S. boys. This is December 22nd, UPI. The CDC, the same people that would hire Bill Bibb, recommending vaccinated all U.S. boys ages 11 to 12 with quadrivalent human papillomavirus. And then it says this. Here, let's see if I can find it. Female-only vaccinations most effective. Increasing vaccinations for HPV among pre-adolescent girls is more effective than extending the programs to boys. So I tell you what, the MedPage today is not talking to the UPI, or their marketing is getting all screwed up. So who is right? I don't know, huh? Well, I know I'm right. I won't have my little girl subjected to that, or my little boys. New study exposes 60% effective flu shot as 98% useless. This comes from Mercola.com. U.S. Centers for Disease Control, the same people that hire Bill Bibb, recommends a yearly flu vaccine that is the first, most important step to protecting against the flu virus. This advice applies to everyone 6 months of age or older, and the CDC stresses that you should get your flu vaccine as soon as they are available. With the promotion this strong, you might assume that getting a flu shot is the sure thing to protect from the all the flu-like illnesses this year, but it's actually not even close. Most flu-like illnesses is not influenza. Did you know that? It's got to last 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. I've said this many times. With treatment, it lasts 10 days maybe. And you don't have vomiting with the real flu. During the flu season, doctors and patients alike are also attributed to respiratory illnesses and influenza viruses when they most of the time, flu-like symptoms are actually associated with other types of viruses and bacteria. The only way to know for sure what type of virus or bacteria is causing flu-like symptoms is to have it lab confirmed. That will be on Facebook.com/Rohlfsen. So if you're wanting to request a friendship or subscribe, you're more than welcome to. What do we got here? Call for more workers to take the flu vaccine, of course. Swine flu found in 5 states. How to stay safe. because it's so devastating before, right? 12 people have become infected with the swine flu since August, the CDC says Friday. They're probably vaccinated too. That's how they got it. No. The people infected of this type of virus, called the influenza A H3N2, lived in Indiana, Iowa, Maine, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. 11 of the cases occurred in children. The cases have caused the CDC, the same people that hire Bill Bibb, to ask all state public health laboratories to notify the CDC immediately if any swine flu cases occur, so investigators can limit human transmission of the disease. CDC report, which covers cases from August 17th through December 23rd, is published in the December 23rd issue of the Morbidity Mortality Weekly, blah, blah, blah. Anyway. What do you think? What type of society do you think we live in, huh? There's naturalnews.com. It has the 10 most censored natural news stories of 2011. 2011 was a wonderful year of censored news, wasn't it? We learned a lot this year about the FDA, the CDC, the evil corporations, and the fruit cereal that contains no fruit. The problem is the mainstream media has never bothered to report any of it. Or if they did touch the stories, they distorted them to fit their own corporate agendas. Okay. The Rohlfsen food raids. This act of food tyranny, and the FDA teamed up with the California Department of Agriculture, thugs to conduct an armed raid of private buyers club where they confiscated milk, cheese, watermelon, and mainstream media, barely even touched the story, hoping no one would notice. How about the Fukushima catastrophe? There's nothing like a little radiation to brighten up your day, huh? When Fukushima Daiichi nuclear facility melted down, the mainstream media pretended that the world's greatest nuclear catastrophe was no big deal. Yeah, it's true. The USDA's mass murder of birds and animals. Do you remember that when all these massive birds were dying and all these animals were dying all over the place? Natural News reported the USDA's Bye Bye Blackbird program, which involves an agency conducting mass murder of birds, foxes, owls, raccoons, and many other animals. Fish were dying too, remember that? Natural breakfast cereals found loaded with GMOs. The mainstream media almost never reports GMOs, genetically modified. That's because you might have never guessed that their advertisers are all the food companies that sell the genetically modified foods, pesticide-ridden foods, to the public. Vaccine continues killing people, but the media won't report it. If you've always count on the mainstream media to lie about vaccines. But when they lie, people die, and 2011 was no different. The grandma died from swine flu several weeks after receiving the swine flu vaccine. The influenza vaccine was also found to cause infant seizures and neurological problems. Japanese children were killed by the vaccine this year as well, and the fact that the Institute of Medicine openly admitted in 2001 in the MMR vaccines caused measles. General Mills blueberry and pomegranate cereals found to contain no fruit. What? The press did not actually pick this story up, but instead of credentialing Natural News for the source, they simply ripped off the story and ran it in their own. The mainstream news channel featured a female investigator who claimed that to have gone to the grocery store and discovered that these General Mills cereals had no fruit. Predictably, they gave no credit to myself, the health ranger, or Natural News for actually doing the research and breaking the story. CDC admits fluoride levels in public water are dangerously high. In 2011, the CDC finally admitted fluoride is dangerous in the water supply. Clinical trials, this is number 8, by the way, clinical trials invalidated by influence of the mind. Entire basis for which scientific medicine is validated was called into question in 2011, which new findings about the power of the mind to override biochemistry. All big pharma's clinical trials, in other words, may have been utterly invalid. HPV vaccine found contaminated with DNA and RNA of HPV. Whoa. Imagine that. Gardasil vials were tested to found to be contaminated with the very viral fragments that the vaccine industry claimed to cause cervical cancer. CDC discredited for fraud with fraud indictment. Remember when I did that show and we did what is it called? Not conspiracy, corruption in the CDC, and we ended up with 4 million hits, and with the FDA it was over 7 million hits. This year, the CDC's web of fraud began to unravel, starting with former CDC President Paul Thorson, who was indicted for money laundering fraud, and the money he allegedly laundered was, guess what? The CDC's grant money for researching vaccines. So he was caught for fraud. Meanwhile, in 2011, was also a year that the CDC finally admitted flu vaccines don't even work. They wear off. CDC claims that which means the entire mythology of vaccine-induced immunology has to be completely scrapped. Now, they claim that. The National Defense Authorization Act. Okay, here's a bonus item for the list, bringing it to 11. The NDAA passed on both House and the Senate would gut the Bill of Rights and allow Americans to be arrested, indefinitely detained, interrogated as prisoners in secret military prisons, and even assassinated by U.S. military, all legally. The mainstream media predictably lied about this story and claimed it didn't impact Americans. That turned out to be a complete fabrication. Breaking through the censorship with your help. So, oh my gosh, there's a lot of news, and a lot of news that you didn't hear, but I covered a lot of those news stories on Tuning Into Health. So, I tell you what, I have a lot of fun here, and I really appreciate you watching. So, and if you wouldn't mind, tell you what, we got 1809 Design. She is a fantastic graphic designer, and you can go to visit her at 1809.com, 1809design.com, and if you're looking for a graphic artist needs, she can help you out. Also, there's Genuinely Pure, genuinelypure.com, all natural. She's a mom who is just concerned about, having her babies in contact with a lot of the caustic chemicals that the corporations use to make these products that we use in our everyday life. Well, she flipped the table and ended up with the best body care products in the United States, according to the Taste Awards. So that's genuinelypure.com. Mention Dr. Chad and the promo code and you get 10% off. Save shipping, folks. There's Mike and Holly Taylor with Iowa Realty. They're great people, trustworthy, and they can sell you a home if you're looking for one here in the Des Moines area or outside of the Des Moines area in Iowa. So on that note, my phone's ringing. So I'm out of here. Have a great one, and we'll see you Thursday. Bye-bye, folks. By the way, this song is called Crazy, and it's played by Don Ross on his album Breakfast for Dogs. Go check it out on iTunes, folks. It's a great album.